What's going on, guys? Today we've got kind of just a routine video, definitely included in the road to boost, but we're going to change the valve cover gaskets on the G. And the reason we're doing this is because one of them is leaking just a little bit. It has been since I've bought it. I mean, I've owned this car for 4 years, going on 5 years now, and it's always had kind of a seepage leak at the valve cover gasket, which is common. But before I boost it, I'd like to get that routine maintenance done, and we're going to throw some spark plugs in it too when we boost it. So instead of doing the job while we're getting all of the supercharger parts on, I'd rather do it now and make sure it doesn't leak before I get it boosted and then find out it's leaking and I did the job wrong. This is my first time installing valve cover gaskets on the car, doing this replacement. So I'm going to take you along for the ride. Hopefully I get it right. You know, this isn't meant to provide a step-by-step instructional guide, but maybe we'll learn something together. So until then. All right, you guys, back in the garage. Nobody likes to work with a dirty workspace. I know my garage is kind of trashed at the moment, but this has got to go. So we basically have not cleaned up from the oil cooler install, which by the way is still successful. So we need to take care of this mess here. Clean it up, get it organized, ready to work, get all the tools where we know where they're at, and then we can get started on this. So I'll be back with you next time you see this. This will be clean. And there we go, back in action, clean. So tools you're going to need for this job, obviously you're going to need your parts. So I'm going to just kind of lay the parts out here. These are for your spark plug seals. This is a wonderful addition to this design. The last model, or the last engine, I think the 35 DE, you had to replace the whole entire valve cover assembly if your gaskets were leaking at the spark plug galleries. So anyways, here are these parts. I believe the same exact part number, so they can go on each side. You've got your PCV valve, 2 of these, same part number on each side. At least I think I got 2 of them. Yep, 2 of those. So we've got our PCV valves. I do plan on installing at some point a catch can, but for now we're fine. I believe my valves are all very clean. Here we go, valve cover O-rings, or the PCV valve O-rings for the valve covers. And then we've got 1 of the valve cover gaskets for each side. I don't know which side's which. I believe that's the right and that's the left, or driver's passengers. I could be wrong, but we'll find out when we get into it. So there are all the parts you'll need. From Nissan, I got these all at Z1 Motorsports for under $100. Not bad. If you don't have one, you'll have to pick yourself up a inch-pound torque wrench, unless you trust yourself. But the torque spec on these is, I believe, 18 inch-pounds first go-around, and then 78 inch-pounds second go-around. So that's about all you'll need. You'll need some accessories for the torque wrench, you know, little different adapters and stuff. I believe everything on here is going to be 10 or 12 mil. So we'll get that taken off and get started here. But that's pretty much everything you'll need. You may need some extensions and stuff. Obviously, I've got kind of a little repertoire here of stuff. I did end up putting just some covers here on the fenders. So when I work on the car, I'm not, you know, chewing up the fenders. I know the car is dirty right now, but trust me, once, you know, I get all this done and I get the paint correction done, it's going to look like a brand new car. It's been well kept. So we're going to get started. First things first, I'm going to get this engine cover off, the intakes off, and get down to just the plenum, and then we'll go from there. So this part's fairly easy. You've got 2 bolts there, 1 bolt there, 2 back there. These intakes come off right here. There are 2 fittings right there, or I guess clamps, hose clamps right there that I can take off. The MAF sensor will come out. Well, I guess I'll just unplug the MAF sensor and then take the filter off, and I'll take these things out. These are just some heat shields, and those come out fairly easy, and then this should all come out. There's 1 hose back there. You can't really see it, but there's a hose tucked down in here that's connected to that. That'll come out. Same thing on this side, basically a replica, the other side. Again, 2 clamps here, and then a hose fitting right here, MAF sensor, and then the heat shield. That's all going to come out. Cover's going to come off, and then we'll have access to the plenum and the throttle bodies. I'd like to get this job done without pulling the throttle bodies completely off. If it's possible, we'll see, but I'll let you know when we get into it. Peace. Alright, so intakes are off. Upper plenum is off. Intake manifold. Got all that right there. So now you can see we've got good access to all of the valve covers. We've got one. I believe that's bank 1 and bank 2. Before I get into this, I'm gonna clean these off. They're dirty. You know, it's good practice to get everything clean, but I wanted to show you guys where we were leaking. So you can see that there was some seepage right here. It's been like that for quite some time. It drops down onto the heat shield of the header right here, and then it burns off. It's nothing major. When I had my transmission done, they pointed it out to me. They said, hey, you got an oil leak, and you know, we noticed you take good care of your car. We thought you should know. And I'm glad they said that, because I was aware that this was happening, but I didn't know it was as bad as it is. I mean, it's seeping pretty good. I don't lose a ton of oil with it, but like I said, it's been doing this since I bought the car 4 years ago, and it's, you know, just good practice to get in there and change these. I'm about to hit 85,000 miles on the clock, or I've already hit 85. I'm somewhere in that range. So it's time to get it done. I'm going to clean these off before I take them off, and then I'll get these wiring harnesses off and, you know, go from there. Obviously we're going to have all this off again when we do the supercharger, but I really want to get these rocker cover gaskets done. Now you can see this side clean as a whistle. Yeah, you may have some normal seepage marks right there, but I mean, oil is bound to get everywhere, but you can tell just the big difference between bank 1 and bank 2. So anyways, that's it. I also want to take a quick look inside down at my valves and see how clean these are. Now, those are pretty clean. Those are pretty clean. Look at each side here. Not gonna lie, these are really clean looking valves. I mean, I know I'm gonna need a catch can, but as of right now, I'm cool not running one. Once I'm boosted, sure, but these are looking really, really clean. This is a ported lower manifold. Let's just take a look at the other side real quick. Yeah, everything's looking really good in here. You're gonna get oil in here. It's just a part of the PCV system. Yeah, everything's looking really clean. I'm happy with that. So, overall, things are looking good for this engine, guys. We're gonna get these valve covers cleaned off, just get the debris off of them. Get some of these wiring harnesses out of the way and see about getting these valve covers off. I've got the AllData DIY schematic for this. Shout out Memo's Garage AZ for hooking that up. So we're gonna take a look at that, get these cleaned up, and kind of work on getting these off. And then once they're off, I'll put the new gaskets on and get these reinstalled and torqued down, hopefully. So be back with you soon. Alright, I've got the coil packs out and the wiring harness is undone. Got the lower plenum covered up. I've cleaned these up as good as I can. I'm not going to clean them anymore because, you know, at this point with them open like this, I can get some dirt in there, in those spark plug wells, so I want to avoid that, but I got them mostly clean. Now I'm going to refer to the AllData and just kind of look at how many bolts there are in here and where they are, so I don't undo something I don't need to. And I'm going to get all of the bolts on this side undone, then all of them on this side undone, and then I'll work on uninstalling both. I did get the PCV valves out. They're actually not that dirty, and you know, I got them out on both sides. It was a 24 millimeter on each side. I just did it with that guy right there. They were hand tight, so you know, it was relatively easy. Here are the PCV valves, and one of them was kind of stuck. but the other one is actually in good shape. Anyways, they're 85,000 miles on them, so I'm just going to replace them anyway. Change of instruction A, which I think is bank 2, or may even be bank 1, I'm not sure, but A is that side, B is that side, so Alpha Bravo. So that's how we're going to do that. These are uniform throughout each one, and then these are uniform. So I'm going to get the rockers off. Again, you can see I did not have to undo the coolant lines to the throttle bodies, which is great. So I'm going to get the rockers off, and after that we should have the valve bodies exposed. And, well, valve body, we should have the valve assemblies, you know, the upper valve system exposed, and then we can work on getting the surfaces cleaned, get the new gaskets on, and get some of the Honda 2 Ultra Flange on that on the corners. So anyways, I'm keeping everything very organized, just so you guys, if you ever want to do this on your own, keep them organized. This is in order, first, second, third, from front to back, with everything on them. I've got the ends of the coil packs covered up, just to avoid any contaminants getting in there. I've got all the hardware with the equipment it belongs to. The upper plenum's in there, nice and closed off to the atmosphere, so nothing gets in it. I don't know if I'm gonna have to come back to this another day, so I really don't want to deal with that. And same with this side, you know, intakes from front to back, first, second, third, covered up. So everything's real organized. It should go on relatively simple once we're all done. But I do want to make sure that I get the torque sequence and spec down. So we're going to refer to that as well when we put everything back together. So next up, rocker panels coming off. Or I'm sorry, rocker covers coming off. So this is what we know. Passenger side, driver's side, front of the vehicle, and then the sequence. But we know that there are 10 on each, 11 on each rocker. So we're going to loosen the mounting bolts using the tool, using a power tool in reverse order as shown in the figure. So it wants us to start on the outside and work our way in. I don't know about a power tool, but I'll definitely get them off. I might be able to use a drill. I don't really have a ratcheting wrench. Yeah, see, so A is bank 1. So bank 1's passenger side. This is A, and this is B. So yeah, we've got bank 1, bank 2, engine front. Remove rocker cover gasket from the rocker cover. Use scraper to remove all traces of liquid gasket from cylinder head and VVVL ladder assembly. Caution, never scratch or damage the mating surface when cleaning off old liquid gaskets. Should not be a problem at all. And then I also, another shout out to Memo's Garage, I've got some Honda stuff up here. Let me see if I can find it. Excuse me for this. Here we go. So I hear this stuff's all the jazz, whatever you want to call it. That's supposed to be good shit. So all right, we're gonna get those removed. This is pretty cool. All Data DIY is pretty cool, you guys, and it tells you how to get everything back together, gives you the torque sequence and the torque specs. So let's get those removed. We've got 11 bolts on each one to contend with, and then we'll get them off in reverse order, and then we'll kind of take a look at what we got. All right, bank A, or whatever, side A, rocker panel A, is off. I did scrape the RTV off the edges. I'm starting to think that I didn't get everything, but now that I'm looking at it, it's pretty clean. I may go in there and try and get the rest of that taken care of. Yeah, there's still some over there. That side's pretty clean. And this side's pretty clean. Some stuff down there at the edge that I had trouble getting to. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue moving forward. So anyways, that side's off. I got all that stuff cleaned for the most part. I've been using this because I was using a paint scraper at first, but it was scoring the metal a little bit. So to avoid any further damage, I've elected to use a plastic parts trim remover thing, and it's actually doing just fine. So I'm gonna try and get the rest of this cleaned up. It's a real pain getting all this shit off, but you know, you gotta get the surface clean in order to put new RTV down. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get this side done, cleaned, reinstalled before I move to that side. I don't want to have both sides open at the same time. So again, everything's right here, kind of how it came off with the old gasket, the old O-rings, and then the old hardware. We'll get everything cleaned up, get it installed, loosely fit it, and kind of hand tighten everything down, and then just leave it. And then we'll torque everything down after that, shortly after. It won't be too much longer after, but I'm going to get it, set it down, and then torque it. And then I'll move on to this side. I only want to go one at a time. So I'm going to keep at this. The next time you see this, I'll probably have that rocker back on, and then that one off. All right, side A back on. RTV placed. My RTV is a little sloppy, guys. I've never done this before. Where is it? Right down there. Little sloppy on the RTV, but you know, I may have overdone it, but I've never done this, so I tried to follow the specs as close as I could. This side right here is just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. I mean, there's a nice bead in there, but it kind of got sloppy because this was getting in my way, so it kind of made a mess. And you have that one right there. So yeah, I may have overdone it with the RTV and done it a little too far out. But you know, I'm learning. So that's that side. Everything's torqued down. I'm using a cheap little torque wrench from Harbor Freight, so the 20 inch-pound setting is a little tough to detect. So I kind of hand tightened everything until I thought it was good, and then I just took it to 73 inch-pounds, and that's how I did it. So that's what, yeah, 73 inch-pounds. So I did hand tight on the first one and then 73 inch-pounds on the second. So it worked. Hopefully it's good. I'm going to install the PCV valve here in the O-ring. Then we'll get started on this side. I'm hoping this doesn't leak. I'm not going to start it up until I'm done and it's had time to sit. The RTV I'm using, which is this stuff right here, hardens or it skins over in 15 minutes, and then it fully cures in 24 hours. So anyways, on to the next one. All right, second side off. This side was a pain in the ass. There are two bolts back there that are obstructed by this coolant line, and I'm telling you, it is a bitch to get those out. I struggled. I would even recommend raising the car a little bit so you don't have to be squatting so much, because man, that was rough. My knees are killing me. So I'm going to take a break, but I got everything off here on this side. Pretty straightforward. Again, I was leaking right here. You can kind of see. I believe it was a failure of the actual gasket. It doesn't look like it was a failure of the RTV. But it could have been, seeing as that there's some seepage back there. So it's just tough to say, but I'm gonna clean the surfaces off really good and get a good layer of RTV down here, and you know, resolve my issues hopefully. So not looking too bad though. Everything's real clean in here, real clean. So I'm gonna take a 5 and real quick, I guess we'll look at this side again. It's all hidden now. I'm gonna take a 5 and clean this off in a little bit, and then come back and let you know how things are looking. All right, got this side back on. These two bolts, which are 2 and 8, very difficult to torque. At least with the setup I had, they were very tough to torque, even down to spec. So right now I'm just going to zoom in and make sure it looks like we're mated up down here. It does. But that was concerning. I don't know what people use to get down here and do this. It's definitely a point of concern for me. It's the valve cover, valve cover right there. So, I mean, as far as I'm aware, like all the RTV and everything down here went on fine. But that's about all I can do right now. I can't even see back there. Everything else looks good as far as the RTV goes. Even if I did get a little too much, you know, everything else still turned out pretty good. So that's just tough back there, and that's probably what led to it leaking in the first place. I mean, it's just a tough spot. I don't know if this car had these done before. I doubt it. So, you know, it probably came from the factory that way, but it's just a tough zone back there. I guess I could try and clean up the oil that's spilled, but I really don't care. I'm just going to clean the top of the valve cover off, just like I did over here, and call it a day. Button it up and call it a day. So I'm going to get everything else buttoned up. We'll follow the torque sequence to get the upper plenum back on, and just get it all buttoned up and, you know, let it sit and let everything cure, and then, you know, try and do a start here in a couple hours. I'm not going to really go too much into putting it back together, but, you know, get everything back on, the throttle bodies, torque it down to spec, and then, you know, just get the intakes and stuff back on. Big job, long job, longer than I thought it was going to take, but we're on the downhill, so coming up next should be put together. Alright, she's all put back together. Fingers crossed that I don't have any leaks, seeing as that this was a first time thing for me. It's very possible I could have leaks. I cannot wait to never have to take these off again, but I'm only going to change it for another evil of having a still-in manifold. But you know, overall the job wasn't too terrible. For a first timer, I think it was probably 4 or 5 on difficulty level if you're a little tech savvy, or I'm sorry, mechanically savvy with vehicles and car maintenance, but it wasn't so bad. So I'm gonna let this sit for a little. I'm gonna go take a shower. I've kind of cleaned up a little bit. It's not where it needs to be, but it's decent. I'm gonna leave the engine cover off for now because I want to be able to see for leaks. But I'm gonna go shower, and then we'll crank it and see what the deal is. Alright, moment of truth. We're gonna fire it up and check for leaks. I don't see any issues so far. I mean, I'm low on gas, but give this a shot. Guys, I'm not seeing any leaks. At least not yet. Well, you guys, it's late. Everything's looking good. I don't see any leaks right now. I'm gonna once over it one more time to make sure everything's good, but I think I'm gonna call this a job well done. I'm gonna get out of the garage. I'm hot, I just showered, but stay tuned, guys. We're about to boost the car, so it should be getting fun here soon.